Hey y'all, thank you for tuning in. I'm so excited today. Think primarily because we go on vacation next week,
Oh,
but
I'm
but
gonna be on the island.
yes, sipping margaritas.
Oh, give me
Excuse
one
the margarita
margarita.
talk.
I ain't gonna do that. I
Ain't
ain't
doing
gonna do that. We're
none of
gonna
that
keep it
stuff she
PG.
talking about. But we
But
gonna have time though.
let's go.
So y'all, welcome back to another episode. This is I can't even remember what episode we're on because these are all pre-recorded, so I can't remember. But welcome. Um, today, we have another episode of Sistas in Crime with Shy and Toy. I am Shy, short for Shamia.
And I'm Toy, short for Latoya.
And welcome. So, y'all, today we are going over a very controversial case. I'm pretty sure I don't know of anyone that doesn't know of this case. If you were a 90s baby or 80s, 70s, I mean, even the people that were in there who were born in like 60s, 70s, everybody know who this woman was. Very, very controversial woman. Madalyn Murray O'Hare and her son and her granddaughter.
Yes.
So just off the rip, okay, being that this is a very controversial woman, we don't want any discussions about religion at all. This is not what this podcast is about. Um,
Right.
we are not getting into any of that. This is strictly about the case. That is all. This is not a debate, a religious debate at all. This is about the case and what we think about the case. That is all.
Exactly. We
That
not
is
here to debate nothing. We ain't here
yes,
to go against nothing. We're not here to condemn anybody. We're just gonna provide you with the
yes,
facts.
yes, and that is all.
That's it.
So no trigger warning for today. I don't think. No trigger warning for today.
No, I don't think we need a trigger warning this time. I'm gonna give a warning because I'm having again some issues with my allergies. So please excuse me. I'm having runny nose. I keep having to clear my throat. If that is bothering you, I do apologize in advance. But I'm getting through it. I got my water right here. We're gonna get it done.
And then we just gonna go with the flow. So y'all, my sis here is going to start off with the background like we always do to paint a picture of the individual and why we are here today. But y'all, please go get you a snack, go get you a drink, you know, relax and chill, and let's just get into the episode. You ready to get into the background?
I'm ready. So
Okay.
again, as my sis said, this week we're talking about Miss Madalyn Murray O'Hare, aka the most hated woman in America.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a bit of background information, but it's all important and relevant to the case. So I'm gonna just go straight into it. So she was actually born Madalyn Evelyn May on April the 13th, 1919 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Her mom was Lena Christina and her father was John Irwin Mays. Now, while her mother was Lutheran, her father was Presbyterian, so she was raised Presbyterian. She was one of two children, so she had an older brother. Now, there are conflicting reports as to her childhood because Madalyn was known to kind of embellish the facts. So some people say that she grew up, poor lower class, but she accounts and tells people she grew up middle to upper class. So I found reports that she, had to work as a maid during her teenage years to kind of help the family, and they moved around a lot between Pennsylvania and Ohio. So while the family was in Ohio living with Madalyn's uncle, because they would stay with family when they moved around, she attended the Rossford High School in Rossford, Ohio. Now, her classmates described her as intelligent, holding strong personal beliefs, and a daydreamer. She graduated in the year of 1936 at the age of 17, and then she went on to the University of Toledo, originally with the hopes of becoming a doctor. So she started out like pre-med like I did. That ain't work out. But anyway, she married yeah. Um she married you gotta find yourself. And she was finding herself. I'm no one's doctor, but we're gonna keep it moving. She married John Henry Ross, who was a steel worker in 1941. She was 22, but they kind of, divorced shortly after in 1943, because this is around the time Pearl Harbor happened. So they both actually ended up enlisting for World War II service. And Madalyn joined the Women's Auxiliary Army Corps in 1943. And there she worked as a cryptographic officer for the Signal Corps. She was actually second lieutenant. So she wasn't no fool now. So during this time, of course, she traveled several different countries while in the Army Corps. And when she was in Italy, she met a man by the name of William Murray Jr. He was a fellow officer as well. And they had a little affair. She got pregnant to her first son, William Joseph Murray III. Now, William was married, had no intentions on leaving his wife, like most of these husbands. I don't know when you mistresses are going to get that through your head. He had no intentions on living his wife or helping raise that baby. So he said, deuces, do what you will with that. So she actually adopted this is crazy. They never married, okay? She adopted his surname for herself and for her son. So that's where we get Madalyn Murray from. So because William was like a devout Catholic, so Catholics, they don't believe in divorce and stuff like that. So this is where she started to question religion. Because like I said, she was raised Presbyterian, right? So that's a Christian faith. But now she's starting to question because she was so in love with this man, he wouldn't leave his wife for her. And his reason was because he was Catholic. So she's starting to question God and all that, whatever. Shortly after, she did return back to the States, and she began working as an engineer in a plane manufacturing business. Now, while she was there, she had yet another affair. This was with girl, like she's having affairs all over the world. She started in Italy, now she back in America. Okay, I was like let that thing rest a while. Like, girl, let it rest. It didn't work out for you the first time, Anyway, so his name was Michael Fiorio, and months later, they had their son, John Garth Murray. She didn't even give him his biological dad's last name, adopted the surname Murray to him as well. I said, dang, that man must have really had a hold on her that she was with in Italy. So shortly after that, she was actually forced to end up quitting her job. Mm-hmm. Now, while she was working, she did attend the South Texas College of Law, which is where she received an LLB. Now, I didn't know what that was, so I looked it up. And an LLB is a Bachelor of Laws degree. Now, that's because she couldn't pass the bar exam. So she never got her actual license, but she did get a Bachelor of Laws, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. In 1956, she joined the Socialist Labor Party, and she tried to gain citizenship in Russia through like some false documents or something like that. So, of course, she was unsuccessful at that. Then in 1960, which this is what she's most known for, where she gets her notoriety from, she protested against religious observation and prayer in schools. So the way they tell it is her oldest boy, John Murray, they call him Bill. No, William Murray, I'm sorry, they call him Bill. He went to school, and they were, she was raising her kids because after she started questioning God, she decided to become atheist. So she's raising her children atheists, and he goes to school, and, they used to be prayer in school. So the teacher is having prayer time and stuff like that. Bill comes home, tells Madalyn, she loses it. So,
listen, hold on. Let me see. She even went as far as making him keep a log of how many times they had to read the Bible and pray throughout the day. And she used that for her evidence in court in the future.
Exactly.
Yes.
So she took her case to the Superior Court of Baltimore. They were in Baltimore at this time, but they dismissed her case. So then she appealed and took it to the Supreme Court. Now, when it went to the Supreme Court, it was actually added in to a similar case, which was Abington School District versus Shemp in June of 1963. And with that, the Supreme Court ruled that required Bible reading and recitation was unconstitutional in schools. So if you ever hear, she was very big on the front of separation in church and state. If you ever want to wonder who responsible for taking prayer and stuff out of schools, it's her. Now, I'm not going to say I'm against that, because I'm not, because everyone practices different religions, different faiths and things like that. I think it's unfair to force someone to have to pray and read the Bible. Let's say they, read the Quran or something like that. Like, that's not fair to their faith. So, but again, do what you do.
Yeah.
So, I understood that.
Yeah.
But as a result, because, good old America was built on Christian faith. So as a result, her sons began to be threatened in school. The entire family was harassed. Mm-hmm. But she didn't care. Like, she kind of, Life Magazine is who started calling her the most hated woman in America. And mm-hmm. she loved it.
Yeah, she was like, it was like she had a glow about it, y'all.
Yeah, she took pride in that name. Yeah. Like, so she, she continued to join various causes that were calling for the separation of church and state, and she filed several lawsuits. Like, I even heard she filed a lawsuit against NASA.
I'm not surprised.
Because she was upset that when they landed on the moon, they read from Genesis. The book of Genesis in the Bible.
She was a very angry woman.
She had so many lawsuits, y'all. She was passing them out like, well, I was like, but what was crazy, the Supreme Court said they had no jurisdiction on the moon, so they dismissed it. They said they only have jurisdiction here in America. They don't have jurisdiction on the moon, so there's no laws on the moon.
Right.
So if y'all ever go to the moon, you get away with some stuff, Yeah. Anyway, so she then met a man named Richard O'Hare in October of 1965. Mm-hmm. They got married. That's where you get the O'Hare. So Madalyn Murray O'Hare. Murray is from her first true love. O'Hare is actually from her husband, her final husband. And they remained together. They remained married until he died 11 years later. I think closer towards his death, they had separated, but they were still married. So she is also responsible for establishing the American Atheist Association. And they set up a center in Austin, Texas. And they also had like a magazine, so she, it was very well organized and put together. It was a nonprofit. Well, I'm not going to say what's, because I believe it still exists, the American Atheist Association.
It does. Mm-hmm.
But they alleged that she was more concerned about the money, and supposedly she was embezzling money from the organization. This is all allegedly, because she did have some offshore accounts. She was driving a Benz. Garth was driving a Benz, and her granddaughter Robin was driving a Porsche. They was living a lavish lifestyle. And her son Bill, the same one she used to pivot that movement to separate, to take prayer out of schools, he actually ended up converting to Christianity. So when that happened, she disowned him, and she said, she described it as having a postnatal abortion. So, you know what I mean? Like, and they never talked again. He would make public appearances talking about his mom and saying things like, like Sha said, how she used to force him to make notes in school, and she just used him for her cause and stuff like that. And even said that, so Madalyn accounts that she started questioning the Bible as a child when she was reading it. But Bill said that's not right. She lies, and she didn't start questioning until she was an adult. So, they just split apart. And then Garth was still atheist, and her granddaughter Robin, who was Bill's daughter, was still atheist. But Bill also had some substance abuse issues and stuff like that, which is why Madalyn took Robin in. So She actually ended up resigning as president of the Society of Separations and the American Atheists, and she appointed her son, John Garth Murray, which they call him Garth, to take her place. So now that I provided you with all the background, I know that was a lot, but this is all important because it's adding up to what I'm gonna let Shy go over. So now we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of it.
Yeah. So this case, listen, ever since I've seen it for the first time years ago on Forensic Files, I was just like, oh my God, this is so juicy. Oh my God.
It is, y'all. It's on Netflix too. It's a movie made about it on Netflix.
Yeah. Y'all, please, because I watched the movie, I've watched the Forensic Files episodes,
Yep.
I did the research, I've read on her. But the Netflix movie kind of gives a comedic aspect of it. It's not as like all about murder. It was kind of funny and like
It was.
the actors were funny. It had some like very good. It actually had one of the guys from Orange Is the New Black in it.
Mm-hmm.
It had some comedians in that were funny. So, but y'all, if y'all ever want to watch the movie, it's called The Most Hated Woman in America.
It was pretty good. I watched it yesterday.
Yeah,
it was really good.
It was really good because when I was doing research, it said they had a movie. I said, "Well, wait a minute, pause. Let me go watch the movie." But it was so good, y'all. So listen. So here we go. So fast forward to August 27th of 1995, right? So Madalyn, her son John, and her granddaughter Robin, they go missing. Now immediately, to keep it real, they like the detectives. Of course, the cops were called because they noticed some things were odd. One, her diabetes medication still in the house. She was a diabetic. She would never left without her medication. Two, her dogs were still there. They said she might have hated every human being in this world, but she loved her dogs. So there was no possible way that this woman would leave without her dogs.
Right.
But y'all, even with this, they took this information to the cops and they were like, basically, they don't care. Like, I'm gonna keep it real. They didn't care because allegedly they had tried something like this similarly, like years ago. It was just like a thing she would do for attention.
And everybody hated her.
Yeah, and everybody hated her. So like Texas, like they weren't like jumping at trying to find this woman. They were like, okay, what make you think this is not just like a publicity stunt like it was before? Like they really didn't care. But no, people push, and they was like the American atheist community, that whole group were like quiet. Like they wouldn't say anything. So of course, Marilyn, listen, so Marilyn, if you watch the Netflix the Netflix movie, if you watch Forensic Files, of course it has clips of her talking, and that woman was lethal. That mouth was foul. What was so funny, she was hell. She was hell. What was so funny, it was like reporters saying she would want to come in for an interview and talk trash to people. And it was like, you asked us to for the interview, and now you want to
right. And they said that they had the one interview. One reporter said they had to stop the interview because her mouth was so nasty.
Her mouth was so nasty. She was nasty. But one thing that the movie shed light on, and an aspect that I didn't even really know about her, was she was she was not labeled as a civil rights activist, but she did a lot of what can I say? She did a lot of activism for Black people.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was like
she wasn't racist.
Yeah, maybe or anything like that.
Hated and maybe a little crass, but she wasn't racist.
Right. So I thought that was interesting. She would go on the front lines with Black people in March. When she was younger, when her kids were small,
and took Bill with her, took her son with her,
took her son and everything. So y'all, the acting president that kind of took over after Madalyn disappeared, would contact John and be like, hey, is everything okay? And he would reassure her everything's fine. Even Madalyn would answer the phone like everything's fine or whatever, but they were just like, it was still so strange, so they, the acting president believed them. She was like, okay, I have no choice but to take their word for it. Here we are. So after a while, the conversations just like stopped. She couldn't get a hold of John anymore, couldn't get a hold of Madalyn anymore. So, still investigators really didn't care, until some more folks went missing. Another man named Danny Fry, he went missing. So, y'all, the acting president noticed that $600,000 left the bank account, the American Atheist bank account. And they were like, all right, pause. We got 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 people that went missing. And a whole bunch of money, almost over $500,000 that went missing as well. All right. So then, some investigators, I remember the guy, his name was John McCormick. He was like, I guess, if ain't nobody else going to look into this case, I'm going to look into it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So shortly after the money disappeared, a guy saying that he was John showed up at a car dealership to sell his car. So they went to the car dealership. Investigators went to the car dealership and saw that, talked to the car dealer, and he was like, so, is this the man? He showed him pictures. He was like, is this the man who you bought the car from? And he was like, no, they actually showed him a picture of John. And he was like, no, that's not who I bought the car from. So then he showed him another picture, which happened to be Danny Fry. But keep in mind, the salesman didn't know who was who. He just knew of who the man said he was when he came to sell the car to him. And he was like, no, that's the man who said he was John Murray, and that's the guy. So that wasn't John. That was someone posing as John, which was Danny Fry, who's also missing at this time, right, y'all? All right. So it's getting juicy, all right? It's getting thick. The story getting thick. All right.
We're in the thick of it. We're in the thick of it.
So next, what happens is a handless, headless torso washes up from the Dallas. Is it the Dallas River? Yeah, I think it was the Dallas
River.
And there was like, how do we even begin to determine who this man is? They knew it was a male, but you have no hands, no head. So how do you determine who this is? So John McCormick, keep in mind he's a a reporter for the Express News, but he had a hunch. He said, I guarantee you that this body has something to do with the disappearance of Madalyn, her son, and her granddaughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Danny, well, they did of course, kind of examination determine how the person was killed and all of that stuff. So of course, Danny's brother, Danny is also missing. Danny's brother said he got a call from one of a ex-employee of Madalyn. I guess kind of threatening him. So he actually came for it, even though he was threatening, he came for it and was like, my brother's missing, I got threatened. So basically he took a blood test and they determined that him and the body were related. So that was how they identified that this was Danny Fry, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so now we have a homicide, right? But we still don't have Madalyn. We still don't have, the money still missing. We don't have Madalyn. We don't have John, her son, and we don't have Robin, right? All right. So he gets to asking who was the guy who threatened him. So a name comes up. So we finally have a name. And his name is David Waters, right? So David was a previous employee. He became the office manager after Bill stepped down. Her son Bill stepped down. He became the office manager. So David had a falling out with Madalyn because apparently he was caught stealing money, right? It was something that he was getting ready to go to jail for, but he ended up avoiding jail time because he paid the money back, y'all. So Madalyn, just the type of woman she was not content with him just paying the money back. No, she wanted to, you know,
Wanted that
talking.
man behind bars, locked
But she
up,
was behind, but she was very mad that he wasn't behind bars.
shackles.
So she took it upon herself to post an article about this man in the American Atheist. I don't know if it was the magazine or the
The
newsletter,
magazine.
whatever publication it had. She took it upon herself to do an
Yeah.
article, right? Y'all, she was in this man. Listen, she was talking about how he had homosexual affairs in jail. And listen, it was reported that it made him mad, and rightfully so. And he said from here on out, he was out for blood for
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
He
Period.
had some,
On site.
yeah. So you got people that hear him say that he gonna, excuse me, get this woman, and then she's missing. So there we have motive. All right. So still, y'all, we don't have. So David's girlfriend actually comes forward as a witness, and she's like, y'all, she was very afraid. Like they talk, investigators talked about how afraid she was. She was very, very terrified because you got a dangerous man like David Waters. Like it seems like he will go through great lengths to protect his reputation, get you back, and all this kind of stuff. But she was like, I got to do the right thing. So she said around the time of the disappearance, he had rented a storage building and he took her there. And she said when she went to the storage building with him, she noticed that he took like one of those cleaning canisters where you would spray like cleaning solution. He would take that, and she said it was full of bleach, right? All right, so investigators like, okay, ding, 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 we got something here. So they happened to go to the storage building where he had rented it previously, and they go through it. Nothing's really in there. I think they did find some old papers that he had stolen from Madalyn O'Hare and the American Atheist Association. But y'all, they said it was like they would have missed it. I mean, anybody else would have missed it, but they happened to just going through and they found like a small speck, a very, very small speck of blood, right?
And I
So,
just want to add, I think it's important to mention that the documents they found that he stole from the O'Hares were dated after his termination.
yes.
So how you ain't the office manager no more? How
Yeah.
you got these
I use those
documents? So
documents,
Spidey sense is tingling for the police now. Now they give a damn.
right, right. So right away they're like, okay, all right. So they found that speck of blood. They tested. They took blood from Bill, and they tested, and they confirmed that whoever blood that was, they were definitely kin to Bill and Madalyn, right? All right. So then they were like, all right. So with that alone, they were able to arrest him, right? So they said, y'all, I'm gonna tell you, this man was like horrible because it took him 5.5 years. Like they brought him in, arrested him, brought him in, and was trying to like grill him, and they said he was not compliant. He would not like tell them like what happened to Madalyn or her son or her granddaughter. Like he would anything. So all right. So 5.5 years later, I don't know what got in his mind. I guess he just got tired. It was like, all right, I'm gonna tell him. So he lead investigators to this mass grave. Y'all, I think it took investigators 21 hours to dig up the bodies, but they found he led them to the grave. They found 3 bodies, right? They also found a pair of hands and a head. But y'all, it had been 5.5 years. They were skeletons. I'm gonna keep it real. They were like it was nothing. So they like, of course, forensic files are so dramatic. So there was like, and in the sunlight, it glistened was a implant from a hip, and they said they went back in Madalyn's like medical records and saw she had a hip replacement several years before she disappeared. So they were able to match the serial number, of course, because anytime you get an implant or anything like that, they have serial numbers on them. So, and they put them in your medical chart. So they documented that in her medical chart. So they looked at the serial number on the hip implant and matched it to what was in her medical record. So they were able to confirm it was her. Um, of course, like being that the skull, the head they found, it was a skull. They were able to line it up to match, like kind of like it's like a photo where they line up the skull with a picture, and they were able to see that the face structure matched Danny Fry, so they were able to determine that that was also him. And they, when they were digging, they found these large bones, and they knew immediately that that was John, because he was very tall man, very.
Yeah.
I think the first bone they even found was his upper leg bone, and they would say it was huge, and it was like I remember seeing it on the episode, like that bone was.
He was like awkwardly tall,
like awkwardly tall, y'all.
Big boy.
So y'all, of course, they got him. They were able. They found the bodies and everything, and it was just crazy because they got into, they understood why Madalyn and John and Robin were killed, behind money, and he was mad, and he told him that's what he said he was going to do to her, because she ratted him out and put his business out in the magazine, embarrassed him and stuff. But they couldn't understand why he killed Danny Fry. But come to find out, he only killed him because he was an alcoholic, and he would go to bars and get drunk. And they say, loose lips sink ships. So he was at the bar and, running his mouth, and he was like, he couldn't risk that. So he took him out. So through all of this, he did have an accomplice. His name was Gary Carr, I believe. He did have an accomplice that helped him chop up the bodies, hide the bodies. I think even they saw where whoever had buried the individuals tried to light the grave on fire, because they noticed it was some fire, but I guess to destroy evidence. But his accomplice also, what was crazy was, it's not crazy, but the accomplice was given life. They just straight up said life, right? But David Waters was given 80 years. So I was like,
which he didn't even really serve, because he ended up dying.
Yeah. So he ended up dying, I think, of lung cancer.
Yep, in 2003.
Yeah, but I'm not sure about Gary, but he ended up dying anyway. So just say life. At that age, he was during this time.
But he could have got more than that, because you have these 3 murders, and not only that, he also had a firearms charge, because when they went to search his apartment, they found firearms, and because he was a convicted felon, felons are not supposed to be in possession of firearms. So he was already facing charges on that. And I'm like, you got 80 years for firearms charges as well as 3 murders, bro? Like,
yes.
What kind of legal system is that? And Gary Carr got life when it's clear that David Waters was the brains behind this operation.
Right.
I didn't understand that. I still don't understand that.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either. And one thing I forgot to mention, another reason why he got caught was instead of just taking the money, he had John take the money out of the American Atheist account, right? But then he took it, he made John take it to, I guess, I don't know if it's a jeweler or a pawn shop. I think it must have been a jeweler. Yeah. To exchange it to buy gold coins. So it was untraceable, y'all. So, y'all, he didn't even get to enjoy the money, not only because he got arrested, but because all the gold coins got stolen before he could even.
Let me tell you, if you're gonna be a criminal, be a smart one. Because how you think I'm gonna have and it was 500,000, because the jeweler could only get 500K. At the moment, and told him to come back next week for the other 100K, but they never came back.
Yep.
You think I'm gonna have 500K in gold coins, put it in a storage unit with a $5 lot?
Yep. And like whoever stole it, it was just like some random people that had
3 guys.
Yeah, just like
they weren't even looking for that. It's how I thought that was so funny. Yeah. They was looking for TVs. They were breaking into storage units looking for televisions, came across some coins, and they didn't even know what they had.
Nope.
So they went and, looked them up, did some research, and they figured out, we rich as hell now. Like we Mama made it. We be here every time. Mama, I made it. Oh, they just blew the money, y'all. He ain't even get to enjoy a lick of that money. I thought that was so funny. I said, no, you went through the trouble and all this, and then you ain't even get the money, bro.
Yeah. And another striking thing that really messed him up when he sent Danny to exchange the Mercedes, like when he sent Danny to sell the Mercedes to the dealer, he
Right.
sold that Mercedes for like $15,000, which they said
Right.
that's way below market value.
Way
So
below.
that's what really they was like, what are you doing?
But he was too anxious because by that time, the authorities believed that the Murray O'Hares were already deceased.
Yes.
If he was smart about it, he would have sent John Garth to sell it too, just like you sent him to get the gold coins. Why would you not send him to sell the Mercedes Benz as well? That should have been a part of the plan before you just killed them off.
But you
And
know
he
what I'm thinking? I'm sorry. Let me tell you what I'm thinking why he didn't. Because he probably thought if I let John go, he gonna like dip and probably go to the police.
But
Like
he
if he
didn't do that when they went to the jewelers.
I mean, but was he by himself though? I
No,
thought that
I mean, no, not send him by himself. Like send him with somebody. Like
okay,
they
gotcha.
could have sent him with anybody and kind of been in earshot. You know what I mean, to make sure don't nothing go down.
Yes.
But like, I just thought that was dumb on their part. Like, I feel like he killed them too soon, and it could. Who's to know? He just hated Madalyn that much. But
Yeah.
I'm just that part. I was like, that's not smart. Like, you gonna do it. You need to have. I don't even think he had a plan. Like, because the way all this went down, it was just all over the place.
Yeah.
You
It
got
was very
heads popping
it was
up, hands, legs, torsos. Like,
it was a very disorganized crime. I will
yeah.
yes, it was very
And he killed them by asphyxiation. So they were also found in the grave with plastic bags over their heads. So that's how
yeah.
he killed the Murray O'Hares. But not
Mm-hmm.
only that, I'm like, okay, Garth ain't do nothing to you, and Robin ain't do nothing to you. So is it just they guilty by association?
Yep. And what was crazy, like Bill, he hadn't spoken to them in years, and he didn't even really want to like come forward and even do a missing persons report. Let me go back, y'all. When they
Yeah.
went missing, of course, like I mentioned, the police weren't really like hopping off their tail to go look for these people because they were
Nobody
not
care.
people. He did not care. But of course, as things started unraveling, and Bill notices like she would never leave these dogs, and
Not only that, like she wasn't making no TV appearances.
nothing like that. Like it
Loved
was
she loved the fame and the publicity.
yeah, yeah. And honestly, it was a quote, being that we're gonna keep religion out of it.
Mhm.
There was a quote they said, and that's it, that was very true. Um, she used her hatred. I guess I'll go ahead and say it. She used her hatred of God to get rich. And that's
Yeah.
something you don't, you know.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm gonna say. But I just feel it like it really took that man like a year to report them missing. And keep in mind, at that point, I wouldn't even say they lived long after they disappeared, but
I
it
don't think
was
it was that long.
yeah. I would say probably even if it, I don't even know if it was a month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But what I did, what was crazy was that, okay, mind you, one of the people missing is his daughter.
yep, yep.
But they had an estranged relationship because Madalyn pretty much raised Robin. So I guess she kind of cut her daddy off too when he denounced atheism, decided to pick up Christianity. But I was like, even still, this is your own flesh and blood. This is your child. How you
Yep.
still wait a whole year before you report them missing?
Like I think their relationship was just that strange.
Tumultuous.
Because like the way I'm gonna tell you, like the way the movie depicts their falling out, it was deep, but like it looks like Madalyn. They kind of painted Madalyn like she was more hurt than anything, which I'm pretty sure she was hurt. But
Girl,
uh-huh.
not to interrupt, but did you see that he told her on Mother's Day?
I didn't know he told her on Mother's Day.
That
Or
might
did
be why
I
she
see
was
that?
hurt. What kind of gift is that to tell your atheist mom that you about to pick up Christianity? He told her on Mother's Day.
No, I didn't know he told her
It
on
was Mother's Day. I said, oh, he childish.
Oh my god, he really did hate her. Oh no.
It was Mother's Day, boo. Mother's Day 1980. Yes, he did.
Bill.
And I think he's still alive, y'all.
He definitely is.
Yeah.
He definitely is.
I'm still alive. I'm still
But y'all, but what was sad, I mean, the granddaughter, her being so young, getting caught up in that, but y'all,
It
but
was
y'all,
just real
please go
sad.
watch the movie. Listen,
Yeah.
it was a cute disclaimer, but I just have to tell y'all that it was so funny.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, Madalyn says, she said his guts was on fire. She said, I would not blow in his butt if his guts said, you must really
Said some stuff. When I tell you, I was like, oh my, and then she had an interview with Playboy. I was like, why is Playboy interviewing Madalyn? What is that about, girl? You finna do a cover?
Oh, I hope not. I hope not. But she said Hustler, and I think it's called Hustler and Playboy.
Yeah, like, girl, you finna be a centerfold. What's T, Madalyn?
Right. Okay. But I said, okay. Listen, look, she probably gonna go up there in one of her Medea dresses.
Mm-hmm, them gowns. I was like, she got mad and walked off one interview on the episode of Friends of House. I was screaming.
She got up. She said, she got up.
It's the way she threw the mic. She had that mic here. She said,
Lord have mercy. Here we go. Y'all have to watch.
That lady funny, y'all. That lady is funny.
Yeah, but listen, on that movie when she said I went blowing his butt, his guts was on fire. I said, "Oh my god!"
Like, ma'am, what? You real mannish. Like, who sit up and say stuff like this?
Real thugged out. So, like, but y'all, the crazy thing about it, she had, like Toya mentioned earlier, she had offshore accounts that wasn't logged.
Yeah, the authorities really was already investigating her because originally when they went missing, they suspected they just took the money and ran off. So that's another reason why people went looking for them, because they was suspecting them of mishandling the funds from the American Atheist Association. Because why you got these offshore accounts and y'all live in lavish.
Mm-hmm.
I even heard somebody say they went to her house and she had a Christmas tree up, and they said she probably just had it up just to be funny, because of course she don't believe in Christian.
She was real jokey. Like, she was real jokey. Like, because even the movie talks about her parents and, and stuff. And strangely, like, I grew up in church. So, like, this is not but, like, everything she said, it wasn't wrong. Like,
yeah.
Depending on whatever religion that those kids followed at home, that should have been respected,
Mm-hmm.
She was not wrong in that,
I agree with that too. Like, I grew up a Christian as well. I'm still a Christian, but absolutely. I don't believe on imposing my beliefs on others. So that's why I said I support that, taking prayer out of schools, because it's not fair to all of those other cultures and other, people who practice their beliefs or who don't practice their beliefs. Because the whole goal, like when America was founded, like they want to say it's this melting pot and it's this, that, and the third, and come ye all, da da da. Yeah. But then when people get here, you don't respect where they come from. You don't respect what they're about. You don't respect what they represent. Like, it's like one way, your way, or the highway. And I definitely don't agree with that. Like, give people the space and opportunity to be who they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I ain't gonna get. This is not a religious debate. I'm just saying this is just a human debate. Like we as humans. That's all it boils down to. It's that simple. I don't know why the government can't get that through their head.
Yeah, but I think a mixture of Madalyn and how mean she was and how she was going around the nation deboing people, it just didn't sit.
It did.
But, like, y'all, even if you watch
death threats and stuff too, like.
But she was proud of all that. Like, she would get death threats. I think it showed her son William getting hit, like beat up and hit and stuff, and
like, she wanted that title on her tombstone, the most hated woman in America. But when Bill buried them, he didn't even get a tombstone because they were afraid that the graves would be desecrated. So they're in an unmarked grave actually. And he, when they were going to have prayer, but he said, no, she wouldn't want that. So he did honor her wishes in her death and did not have any prayer or anything like that over the three of them. But they are in an unmarked grave for fear of someone desecrating their resting place.
Smart move, because that's
very
exactly
smart.
what would happen. People are weird. Like, they would love
Very weird. People be on weird time. Like,
yeah.
my mind don't even think like that, but you'd be surprised what people out here doing. People be peopling like they ain't never peopled before.
Don't they though? That's why I stay in the house.
Me too. I'm in here. Gonna be. I'm gonna be out there.
Yeah,
It's not safe.
No.
But that's Madalyn Murray O'Hare, most hated woman in America.
Yeah.
R.I.P. to the OG.
R.I.P. was just.
Hey, that was back in my club days. That Jeezy. Oh, honey. You took me back with that. Lord, I had a time.
We love Jesus.
I love Jesus. No man. I had a time.
You feel like you were reminiscing for a minute.
I really was, y'all. I'm sorry. I used to be about that life. I'm not about that life no more. I am an old lady. Like, I be in my grandma gown and on my couch by myself.
Same. Like, I be having my feet up, you know, drinking a little wine, you know, living that soft girl life. Don't be in the mix. I don't be in the mix.
I don't be in the mix at all. You won't find me out there in those streets.
No.
You can find me. I'll tell you where you can find me though. SistasinCrimewithShiandToy. Find us on YouTube, Spotify. Send us an email at Gmail if you want to. Like, share, comment, subscribe, leave a recommendation. Any suggestions, we're open. And of course, we upload every Thursday, typically between 1 and 2. Be on the lookout.
But y'all, make sure y'all going to watch our other content too.
Yeah. We got a few videos before this. Like, we is really working hard to roll this stuff out, y'all.
Listen, we grinding
all day.
We trying to let y'all know about these murders
all day. Stay dangerous, okay?
Do not. We got no dangerous people.
That's my new hashtag. That's my new hashtag. Stay dangerous, my friends.
Because people will take you literally. That'd be the problem.
No, as we say every week, don't murder.
Murder is bad.
Don't murder.
Murder, kidnapping, all that stuff is bad.
Don't do it. Golly, y'all. How many times we gotta tell y'all? And guess what? We're gonna be back next week with another murder. But anyway.
Yeah.
You have anything else to add, boo?
I don't. We're trying to keep these, this is a short episode there. We did really good. Yeah.
We're trying to get them a little shorter because the last one's been like about an hour or whatever. I know everybody ain't on that type of time all the time. So we're trying to make them a little bit shorter and get straight to the nitty gritty. But please continue to support us. We're going to continue to roll out some more stuff, continue to talk about things. And we got, like I say, we do have some things in the works. I'm not just saying that, guys. We do have some things in the works. So bear with us. But thank you so much for watching and hanging in there with us. As always, we love y'all. And we'll see you back next week. Bye.